This is my MST RMX 2.5 RTR. It stands for Ready to Ride. Basically what that means is that it comes with a transmitter and a body. There is a kit version that comes with only the frame and the motor and the suspension and other parts, and a clear body that you can buy separate if you buy the kit, and you have to get the transmitter separate. But the RTR version, it comes with a body and this flimsy transmitter. I will have to upgrade this to a better transmitter. There are guys out there with the screen monitor to monitor your throttle and such. You're supposed to be smooth and have a good straight throttle curve. But what's the fun in that if you're not gonna jam the throttle every once in a while and let the wheel spin? The 2.5 version, there is the 2.0 version as well. I have the 2.5 and the brushless motor. This is an E30, late 80s BMW E30 body. This is the box that it came in. Here's the parts. You do get a random wheel, and they do test your car before they ship it to you. The ESC, which is the computer unit, the motor, transmitter, the servo, and the gyro, both for steering and power control. This is what inside the box. This is the random wheel that it came with. Got some spare tires. Now, what you do need when you do buy this remote control car, you are going to need a charger and a battery pack. You can get the long version or the short version. They both fit. There's many variation, many different brands. Doesn't have to be this particular one. It's just a repair stand that doesn't come with it. Now all this other stuff does. You do have some spare parts and the manual. I suggest you read this manual because it tells you how to program the motor and adjust the controller. You can calibrate the controller and such. So don't skip the manual, read all of it. How to put the body together. Now, I just bought this remote control car. At first, I didn't want to make a purchase because it was just a toy to me. That's what it seems at first, initially. But then I realized it is much more complex than that, and this is definitely leaning more towards the adult toys. I don't mean that in a dirty way, but you won't see many kids playing with this toy. It's mainly an adult that would play with this particular remote control car series because it is complex and it's really not meant to made for young kids. I bought this car from Asiatees, May 22nd, 2023. It was shipped from Hong Kong. This is just June 2nd, so I had this car under 2 weeks and going on 2 weeks now, but still not 2 weeks yet. So when I first bought the car, I bought some spare parts, tires and rims and an LED light system. And that's basically it. Besides that, oh yes, and also bought a wheel remover later on, and a seat from SC. The cage I had to build myself. I'll show you that later. Let's move on to taking this vehicle. The scale is 110 model vehicle, 110 scale. Let's take it out. See, I also bought the magnetic mount as well. I will take this apart more so we can go through what I've done to it, because it doesn't come like this from the factory. It only came with the frame, the body, and not all these extra accessories. But before we do that, I do want to show you, you should get this wheel remover. Most guys, they heat up the rubber or the plastic, whatever tire you're using, and boil it in hot water, and then they install it by hand. But if you purchase one of these MST wheel remover, it will save you a lot of headache. Basically how this works is you always want to install the tire in and out from the back of the wheel, not the front. So I went ahead and completely remove or disassemble the body from the frame or chassis. The body is connected to the frame via these magnetic mounts at the front and rear of the frame or chassis. But it was also connected through some wiring. Now it is completely disassembled, allowing me more room to demonstrate this wheel tire remover from MST, and we'll move on to the next subject. As I was saying, you always want to put on the tire and take off the tire from the wheel through the back of the wheel, not the front. This highlighted color piece is to remove the tire. This black color piece is to install the tire. Now, if you notice, it is shaped like a ice cream cone or a cone. If you notice, the bottom diameter is slightly smaller than the top diameter. I know it's difficult to tell, but it is. The right side is smaller than the left. If I flip it the other way, the left side is smaller than the right. So you want to make a note of that. It's very important. Same goes with the highlighted one. So let's remove this tire from the rim quickly. As I was saying, to remove it, you want to slide the tire to the back of the rim. So you want to place the wheel on top, because we're going to slide the tire towards the back rear of the rim. And the smaller groove, obviously, the tire will sit on and slide over. Use this piece here to fit in, and you just simply press with your palm, and it's that easy. There is the tire, there is the rim. Now to install, you put this piece to the side. You will use this. This is where the groove comes in to play. So the smaller diameter side, you'll fit the tire over. You see, notice how easy it fits, because if you flip it to the bigger side, the tire will have a more difficult time fitting in. So the smaller side. Now remember, you want to install the tire from the back of the rim. So face the rim facing down. Put the smaller groove at the top, because that's where you're going to fit the tire. I want camera focus. Here we go. So smaller groove on the top. The writings or the markings on the tire itself, your preference. You want it facing the front of the wheel or the back of the wheel. So you want to face the front. Put the letterings facing down to the small groove. Put this on top of the rim, like so. Push this piece down. Push down with your palm. Just like that. And it's that easy. Installed. One other note with these rims or wheels from MST, it's a pretty neat design because the offset is labeled for you. As you see here, it just basically slides in. So this is the actual rim frame itself. As you see, the offset is labeled and is shaped sort of like a cellular phone signal from the smaller to the higher offset. And this other rim piece has a groove to it where it stops. So you select your offset. For instance, if I select 7, I will put this groove on the 7. Put this groove on the 7 here. Push down. Make sure it's nice and aligned on all 3 cutouts. Here we go. Just like that. And then it stops and you have the correct offset. Now, it is recommended you put some glue here once you're pretty set on your offset and have clearance on the body once you mount the wheel. But I come to find you do not need to glue it if you're going to be drifting on a smooth surface. You should glue it if you're going to be drifting on asphalt or rough surface, because there is a slight chance that it will slide off. So that's the wheel remover. Moving on to the frame or chassis. When you take off the wheel, it does come with one washer only at the front of the frame of the chassis. So just be careful with that. It's a nice rotor and caliper setting here. The rotor does rotate without the caliper moving. The front shocks. A little bit different setup with the back wheel. The back wheels. Here are the shocks, and that's sort of like the drive shaft, or the in the real world, real car, actual vehicle would be a CV axle or half shaft. And the motor sits in the back like a Porsche or mid-motor vehicles, Ferraris, Lamborghinis. But thankfully, the vehicle does not behave like a Porsche. If you try to drift a Porsche in the real world, you will understand what I'm talking about. But this vehicle does not behave that way. This remote control vehicle, even though it's rear motor. Now, I do prefer the 2.0 version or the earlier version where the motor's at the front with a drive shaft to the back with the differential at the rear. So the weight is better balanced. This is more rear heavy than a balanced vehicle where the motor's at the front. So keep a note of that. This is the 2.5 version. I did not mess with the shocks. I did one thing though, however, is remove the one spacing on the bottom control arm. A lot of guys mess with the top control arms but nobody mentions the bottom control arm because it is a little bit more difficult to get to. You basically remove these with Allen wrenches. It will unscrew. Same thing with this steering column here. It will disassemble, and once this is off, you basically twist this top control arm, and then it's a bolt here that screws into this plastic piece. You unscrew it all the way, and you can remove this spacer here. For the bottom part, it's a little bit more difficult because you do have to remove the shocks from the bottom assembly here, but the main thing is you have to remove the front lower control arm mount, only at the front here. So what you do is, it's not difficult. You basically have screws here to remove the front bumper, and you have the 2 screws here that's holding the front lower control arm mount. So once that's removed, this piece here will slide forward, and this is just a plastic coupling that will slide off, and then the front lower control arm will slide forward, giving you access to hold this bolt in place. So that, because once you loosen this and you try to unscrew this, twisting it counterclockwise, it will keep rotating because this bolt back here is rotating, and you cannot stop it because this pin is in the way. So you have to remove this front low control arm mount. It will slide off. This will slide off. That sleeve will slide off. This will slide forward, and then you can have access. To give you a better photo here, let's go to the manual. So here's the lower control arm mount. As I was saying, this sleeve slides forward. You can slide this pin off. Then you can place an Allen wrench over the head and unscrew this piece, and then you are able to remove the bottom spacer here. There you are, right there. So the spacer is in here where the spare parts are. I removed it because it came with a more aggressive camber and toe setting that I dislike. I like the more of a straight horizontal setup with the tire contact to the surface. And I remember you have to put weight on it, simulate weight on it, and see what it looks like. So that's the only modification I did in regards to the chassis. I didn't mess with the spring length or travel length or anything like that. I didn't mess with the upper control arm. I didn't add any spacer. I only removed 1 spacer from the lower control arm, which most people do not do. I haven't seen anybody demonstrate that in the videos, because you do have to remove the front bumper and the lower front control arm mounts, and will slide loose, giving you access to remove and twist open and remove, twist loose the low control arm, remove the spacer. Okay, moving on to the next thing. So that's possible there, this way. Now the magnetic mounts, you have to buy these separate. The standard comes with these long plastic posts that you're supposed to drill through your vehicle and set a pin height to connect the body to the chassis. I chose to go with the magnetic mounts. I think is great. It's a better option, keeping your body frame smooth and looking smooth. As you see, I didn't have to drill anything, but you would have to drill if you did not use magnetic mounts. So you can buy the set depending on what set you have. When you mount the vehicle to the frame, you always want to mount the back of the vehicle first, like like so. Let the magnet do its job. Be careful with the battery on the side. And then the front will clip on just like that. So you want to have good clearance with the tires. Now, if you have a spare magnet, you can use a spare magnet to find the bottom magnet and mark your location, so you know exactly where to place the top magnetic mount. Again, to remove it, it's the same process. Pull the front first, and then the back comes off. So reviewing this body of the vehicle, put this wheel tire remover away. As you see, I had to place the opposite magnet on the body so that it snaps on exactly to the same spot every time. Now, if you don't have a spare magnet and you want to find where the bottom magnet is when you try to mount it correctly and align, you can use a masking tape like so. Shine a light underneath and then mark your spot, flip it back over, shine the light, you'll see your circle, and then place the magnet that way if you don't have spare magnets. As a matter of fact, I rather prefer this method than using a magnet. You can mark and shine a light through the body. So the body comes empty. It doesn't come with these lights, wiring, but it does come with the light assembly. The little, it's a plastic piece. You just use a double-sided sticky tape to mount it on the body, and you have to drill a hole so you can fit the light set, which are LEDs here. It's just a snug fit. Fit it through the hole and run your wiring. I chose to mount my light control unit towards the front of the vehicle, just right underneath the hood here where you can't see, and it's wired along the side to the back. Now, each light set it's a little bit different. You just have to look at the diagram. As you see here, you just follow instruction here. There's channel 1, which is this, channel 2. So you plug that. You bridge that like a T, channel 1. As you see here. On the receiver, it also has markings as well. Channel 1, 2, 3, and B. So 1, I did markings here. So 1 is to the receiver, and from the receiver, follow the wire. It goes to the servo, which is this piece here. That's the servo. 1 and 2, channel 2, the receiver to the ESC in the back here, the computer. So channel 1, channel 2, and you just want to bridge it. You plug the standard channel 1, channel 2, plug it in here, and you will bridge it here to the controller, 1 and 2. So that way, basically, you're just telling the computer here, you're bridging this. This is the T, you're splitting a T. You're telling when there's power going to the servo, when you're making a left turn or right turn, the servo and the gyro. It will send a signal to the computer for the turn signal left and right. And as far as power and reverse, the ESC, you're bridging at channel 2. You're telling it when you're going forward or when you're going backwards. the control unit here. So you do your markings and you split the T. Because without the light system, you only have this, the receiver going to the servo, and then the receiver going to the ESC. So you're bridging with this wire to the light control unit. And you can mark it however you want. For instance, I have mine is rear yellow, front blue, rear red, rear white, left yellow. And again, marking on the side, channel 1, channel 2, channel 1, channel 2. It's that easy. So you just do that's how you do the lights wiring. As you saw at the beginning of the video, everything functions as it should. As far as a roll cage, it is custom built with this polystyrene sheet. You can get these at the Hobby Lobby. Pretty simple to cut. You can cut with just a razor or scissors. Anything really is very simple to cut and shape together with the special polystyrene sheet glues and contour putty. It takes a while to dry up, but I'll show you some photos of that, me putting it together. You do your measurements, make sure you be careful with the paint. You don't want to scratch anything here with the paint because it is painted on the inside bottom part of the body, not the top portion of the body. Out here is just plastic, so you can use alcohol and wipes and all sorts. It won't bother the paint. But the bottom part here, do not use alcohol or any chemicals because the paint will scratch and it will come off very easily. So that is the roll cage and the light kit. See what else I haven't covered here. Yes, it is, like I mentioned, it is a brushless motor. You will see here it says brushless, and the ESC will have a fan. The brush motor will not have a fan, I do not think. I don't own a brush motor, but I'm pretty sure it does not have a fan, and the motor will not say brushless. So this is what my RMX, EST RMX 2.5 looks like. As far as the seat, I bought from on the internet through SC website. It's a sort of like eBay and Amazon, but for personal individual sellers. These two items here, it basically mounts to the battery. It gives you this new battery clip. If you, instead of using the standard ones that comes looking like this, again, you can use the long battery or short battery like I've mentioned. They'll both fit. And you can adjust your seat and mount it through double-sided tape according to your height and position according to your frame body. I believe this covers everything here. My videos are pretty detailed and thorough. If you know me personally, I'm a very thorough person. So the only modification I've done here with the frame and chassis is removing the spacer at the lower front control arm. I did not mess with the rear or any other components as far as the suspension and chassis is concerned. So just the lower control arm spacer and magnetic mount and the wiring for the lights and the seat here and the roll cage. Those are the only modifications that I've done to my MST RMX 2.5. And you can too, now that you know and you have the information in front of you. Washers and wire loom from Ace Hardware. Hobby Lobby and Ace Hardware are good support sources for your MST projects, and of course your local radio control shop or hobby shops. Things I dislike about the MST 2.5 design is the fact that it is rear motor. It is rear heavy. The front and rear weight ratio is not balanced. It'll be difficult for you to balance it. The only way to do that is add more weight to the front of the frame or chassis. And one other thing that I dislike is the fact that you have to keep fiddling with these plugs between the chassis and the frame. Eventually these will wear out and become loose. That's not a very good design. It should be magnetic in my opinion, but again, this is an accessory. It doesn't come straight from MST, but the light manufacturer, light accessory for the MST should come with a different design. And what I see wearing out here, or is going to wear out first, is this light switch, the on and off switch, not the light switch, correction, on and off switch here. That's going to go because you're going to flip it a lot, and of course all the other moving parts, but I see this going first, and because it's one of the weak links here. So whatever weak links you have is going to go first. And also, if you do run this on asphalt, you risk the chance of kicking grit and sand up to the body here. And of course, the paint is painted from the bottom. So if you have scratches here, it's going to ding off your paint, scratch your plastic windows and other components of the vehicle as the wheel is spinning and kicking everything up here. So my next project here, I suppose, is building a wheel well to protect the body from all the road debris and sand and grit that's going to be kicking up if you are going to be drifting this vehicle on the streets and or asphalt, and not at the track or smooth clean surface, or roughly clean surface. But that's the whole reason I purchased this remote control car, is that I can drift on the street, on parking lots or residential streets, parking lot at, car meets or car show and events where people gather. Well, I suppose that is it. I would recommend to get one of these if you're a drift enthusiast. This is a fun little remote control toy where you can drift it around just about anywhere, and it is not illegal. You will not get in trouble. Oh, here's the last thing I didn't cover. I knew I left something out. It's the tag. This is also custom. I'll show you some slides of how I was able to do that. You can hear the fan running. This was my actual real license plate that somebody stole from me. If you're that person and you have my tag, I want it back, you son of a bitch. And I will return the favor and do to you as you did me and steal your tag. All right, folks, take care.